Hey guys, welcome to the Four Post of Ed. Look, it's the school holidays, and the thing about the school holidays is we can't escape the joyous tones of screaming children in the garden. So I thought, rather than just wait till, tonight, I'm going to bite the bullet and just put up with it, okay? And I don't know if I want to apologise really, because now that I'm a child's entertainer, I think I need to embrace all things childish, including screaming. So anyway, and dogs barking as well. So what have I been up to? I've already been out. I've been out to two different places. I went to Mum's to sample her yogurt pudding. And no word of a lie, I really liked it. Now, I was expecting a cake. She'd cut it like a cake and she'd put strawberries on top. Nutella and strawberries. Sinful, but good. And the whole thing was actually very high protein. So I specifically wanted to try this. And it was a 3-ingredient recipe. So it was eggs, yogurt, and a tiny bit of baking powder, which I don't think they included that. And then I think, was it milk or something? Anyway, if you look up on the internet, she found it on the internet, 3-ingredient recipes using yogurt, Greek yogurt. Now, I assume you wouldn't be able to get away with fat-free, but I'm not sure about this. So I'm going to do some research, because I don't know if you do know, or you probably do if you follow these diaries of a nobody, you will know that I'm freakish, absolutely freakish about high-protein, zero-sugar life living style. So went to Mum's. I had to pick up a form because we're applying for a council garage to park the car in, because like all towns in the United Kingdom, parking is increasingly difficult. So, Mum's disabled, but she refuses to apply for a disabled badge. She's 80 and she refuses. She says, no, I'm not doing that. And she hates walking with her walking stick, but she needs to walk with it every day. Really. I mean, once in a blue moon, she'll leave it. And she's so resistant to the inevitable. But I kind of like that in a way. I think you've got to fight, haven't you, a little bit? Because if you don't, you'll succumb to it. And actually, you'll just sit in one of those god-awful winged chairs. Hopefully you can afford a posh one with the foot that comes up, the foot's bit that comes up, so it's like a couch, and the back that goes back, and you can plug your PlayStation in it, and it's got speakers on the wings. I mean, that's where I'm going. That's the kind of thing I'm going to have when I'm old. So I had to go to Mum's, sample the yogurt pudding, and then pick up this form. And I started filling it in yesterday and made a mistake. And I was just wondering there, are we so poorly practiced now at handwriting, because we all type, that as soon as you get a form to fill in, I make mistakes all over the place. Anyway, I made a couple of mistakes. I thought, it doesn't matter. Gave it to Mum to take home because we needed a national insurance number. Now, my brother and I know our national insurance number. I remembered mine from when I was a punk in the 80s, or late 70s, actually, and signing on the dole, you needed your national insurance number. So I've remembered it ever since. And it's one of those numbers that's stuck. I don't even know my new phone number, but I know my national insurance number by heart. And I think also when you're self-employed, which I have been on and off during my life, you need it. That's your tax number, basically. So we needed that, and she didn't know it off by heart, so I had to give it to her. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. So then I had to pop to the council office and drop it in. And I looked at the form before I handed it in, and it was covered, just covered in scribbles. Now, I didn't have my glasses on, so I wasn't sure what the scribbles were about, but I thought, oh, well, thank goodness she's really made a bodge job of it. More bodgy than myself. But they'll know that she's an elder. It's funny because when it suits Mum, she says she's elderly. But when it doesn't suit her, she says, hey, hang on a minute, don't use that word. So it really depends what she's sort of angling for. Do you know what I mean? So yes, the parking problem in this town used to be there wasn't one, basically. Now everybody seems to have a car. And I was wondering about the older population, because Mum lives in this sort of community residency, and there is parking, but the public keep parking in it, because although it's for the residents, other people are just taking the pee, frankly. So about 2 or 3 times I've got back from a shopping trip and there is nowhere to park. Absolute nightmare when there's nowhere to park. And I'm trawling the streets nearby, searching. So we thought, right, let's get a garage. Let's bite the bullet and see what we can find. And this, of course, darlings, means that next year, when I can afford one, I can get my Mazda, my little MX-5, which I crave, because I've had one before and I really liked it. It was the best car I ever drove. So I just want another one. I just want to replace the things that I've lost in my life due to bad relationships. And this will happen. This will happen. And why will it happen? Because I've become a children's entertainer. And Toddle Puddle is doing really, really well. So I predict, and I'm going to say this with confidence, that by Christmas, I'll be doing very well. But then, of course, with podcasts and things, there's a plummet after Christmas. Now, the live TV shows I'm going to be doing presents, how to make presents for people if you're a kid. But I've got a feeling, I used to watch Tony Hart back in the day, and I've got a feeling mums and dads will watch it as well. It's £3, so I think that's a bargain. So I'm going live on Saturday, but it doesn't matter if you're not, the thing is, if you pay for the live and you're there on time, you can talk to me and you can ask me to do things. So I thought I quite like this interactivity, so you could say, could you draw me a wasp? And I can, look one up quickly just to get my bearings. Well, the thing is, if you're not careful, it looks like a bee, and they're very different. Wasps have waists. That's why they call those little corsets waspies. Those little corsets that don't come up past your breasts and they pull in just the waist area. That's why they're called waspies, because the wasp is more slender and hourglass than the bumblebee. That's the biggest difference, I would say. Also, the sting on a wasp looks a bit, how could I say, like a really bad weapon, whereas the bumblebee sting, hello Romeo, is rather more cute and subtle. That's not to say they wouldn't hurt if they stung you, but the thing is that they're not aggressive. And wasps aren't actually aggressive, and we need wasps for the ecosystem. And I've got a massive wasp tattoo on my shoulder, and I love it. Well, on my arm, actually. So what else have we been doing music-wise? Well, I've revamped this podcast, as you probably know if you're listening. And this is going to be now my personal podcast, because I was trying to do it on others, and it's just too much. It's too much to manage. So now I just want... Oh, Romeo, honestly. Now I just want, a simple life, because the kids' stuff's taking off, and I just want my personal journey, learning the viola and learning the cello and learning about life. Yeah. So actually, what I wanted to talk about was the cello versus the viola. So let's get on to that, shall we? So it was really weird, because yesterday it's a bit like weight training, and I'd played hours and hours of viola 2 days ago, and then yesterday I woke up with that sort of post-weight training pain, and it was agony. It was, it was really, but it was muscular. It was in my muscles. I mean, it wasn't my bones. It was actually that front muscle, and I just thought, no, I need to give it a rest, because when you weight train, they say you shouldn't do it 2 days in a row. You need to rest so the muscle can. Otherwise, you become exhausted and your muscle doesn't grow and da-da-da. I mean, I don't think I'm going to get big muscles, but I did look at them yesterday and I thought, blimey, that's pretty huge. So perhaps being a viola player is just as good as a weight training workout. But it was last night about 11 o'clock, and I thought, I can't not play. I was itching to play. So I picked up the viola, silent viola, the electric one. That's what I'm using. And I'd forgotten how to play. Now, this is really interesting about memory. So I never forget how to play cello. It's now so in me because I've been playing it for so long. But the viola, because I've only been playing a month or what have you, it's only in short-term memory. It isn't in long-term memory yet. I mean, how interesting is that? So I just played this whole piece terribly, the Boccherini. So I mean, I did about 4 times, and then my arm, the agony. So what I might do in the future is a sort of, a long practice, 3 to 4 hours, on either the cello or the viola, alternate days, and then just a quick run through of the main pieces that I'm doing on the opposing instrument. Do you see what I mean? Every other day. And because the thing is, you're not going to set anything in your long-term memory if you don't do it every day. Now, I've learnt this, right, from planking. When I plank, I can get up to 10 minutes really, really quickly, but only incrementally. It takes about 2 weeks. And, I usually start with about 2, and then I have to add a minute or 30 seconds each day, and then I get up to where I was before. So this is, it's taught me that if you do something every day, although you're a bit rusty when you get back to it, your muscle memory will take you way better than most people. So most people can manage. I mean, I remember the first plank I did, it was 11 seconds. Mind you, I was very, very sick at the time. I didn't know it, but I was anemic, and I had cancer as well. But I wasn't aware, and I was drunk. So there's a lot of things going on. So, that's probably not a good way to do it. But I seem to remember one of my children, the adult children, was similarly unable to get past sort of 10 seconds or something. But now I can, if push came to shove, I could easily get through 2 minutes. And this is because I've built that muscle memory up to a certain level. And this is what's happening with the cello. I will stop piano because now that I see how to practice correctly, which I didn't really see before, I didn't notice, you need to do little and often. So you need to do this bar over and over and over and over, and then the next bar over and over. And, that's the way to learn properly. That's how to make things go deep. I mean, the opening bar, I think that's it. But the opening lines, they've sunk in. And I don't know what, I suppose because for whatever reason, I always remember the first line really, really easily. And I mostly sight read first lines. They usually get tricky by the second line, or actually the third. Once the theme's over, you're buggered because you're like, oh God, I don't know this song. But when you've spent a lifetime listening to, classical music, and they use that on adverts, and they use it in school, and they use it for music, different instruments, music lessons, etc., etc. And you just get used to hearing that. And they're in key, probably the simple key that you're working with at that time. They don't change key till later on and throw a spanner in the works, for example. And the other thing the gardener's arrived. I'll be really quick. The other thing that I've noticed is that you should really work with the scale that you're using. Now, I've done that, but I've only worked through my scale once, twice maybe. You need to do those about 60 times as well. So that's what I'm doing today. I can't be heard over my gardener. Au revoir.